Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we're taking a look at the Deluxe Class Ironhide and Prowl 2-pack from Transformers Earthrise War for Cybertron Trilogy. This was an Amazon exclusive, so that's where you have to look for this one if you are in the market for it. It's got that newer style of packaging, no plastic bubble on the front, all just cardboard, but really cool artwork here on the front. I like that quite a bit. Over here on the side, just have that standard artwork for Earthrise. It's still weird to me that it's Generations Trailbreaker there instead of the current Earthrise Trailbreaker, but what are you going to do? Anyway, nothing really going on the bottom or the top. Spinning it around to the back, and of course you have robot modes, alt modes. Both of these guys did show up in Siege, but we're getting more Earth-accurate alt modes here, so I'm here for it. In any case, let's go ahead, let's get these guys out of the box, and we'll take a closer look. Alright, so here they are out of the box. As you can see, Ironhide is a little bit taller than Prowl. But that tracks considering the Siege Ironhide was pretty much taller than every other Deluxe. He was almost a Voyager, but not quite. Now, Ironhide is loosely based on the Siege mold, but with some tweaks. And I think Prowl is an all-new mold. I mean, we've already seen it as Smokescreen and Blue Streak. So it is the same as that new mold. But I believe it's very different from the Siege release. So I'm going to put Prowl off to the side for a moment, and we're going to start over here with Ironhide. He looks pretty good. I like him quite a bit. Head is on a ball joint, so you can a little bit of up and down, but mostly side to side. When you try to move it, I feel like this panel ends up moving more than the actual head, so I'm going to say pretty much only has side to side rotation. You have a swivel and a hinge here in the shoulder, bicep swivel 90 degrees in the elbow, wrist swivel. You do have a waist swivel. There we go. Kick out to the side, front and back. As you can see, thigh swivel, 90 degrees in the knee, and then he does have ankle tilt. But he looks pretty good. He comes with 2 accessories. He does have this gun, which I think looks pretty cool. I appreciate that he kind of just has a normal gun. The Siege one came with that hammer accessory, which was okay, but I think this looks better. And then he has this giant, they're calling it like a riot shield. We're seeing this more and more, especially with like the Cliffjumper, Bumblebee, Bug Bite, Hubcap mold they've reused a couple times. They, come up with a transformation, and then they just come up with a piece that you tack on top to kind of, get their point across as far as the alt mode goes. I don't know how I feel about it. It's okay. I mean, it's got a nice Autobot symbol here on the top. These windows kind of form like a, I don't know, like a point on the front, I guess, to be used as like a stabbing weapon. I'm not really sure. This piece can slide back, and I can't tell if that's supposed to be cannons or thrusters. When it's connected in the vehicle mode, this really can't move, so they have to be retracted. So I'm guessing they're supposed to be like cannons. So I guess if you wanted to like put this on like this, and then have him kind of use it as cannons like that, you could do that. Technically, you could just have him hold this if you want. Either way, it can peg into the side of his hand, whether you want that to be like this, or like this, or like this. I feel like having this more towards the center gives you kind of a better position if you did want it to be a riot shield, but then again, I guess you could peg it into the top one here on the shoulder if you wanted it to be a little bit more evenly distributed. I kind of like that look a little bit better, just because I don't like it hanging so far out past his arm. Or you could just put it off to the side and only bring it in when you want to use the vehicle mode. Also another option. So, yeah, overall, I think he looks good. I think the head sculpt is cool. See if I can tilt this up so we can get a better look at the head sculpt. Nice blue eyes, silver painted face. Eyes are a little bit sunken into the helmet there, but they still look good. So I'm pretty happy with him in that regard. I'm going to bring in Siege Ironhide so we can do a little comparison here real quick. So you can see they are definitely different, but I feel like there are a lot of similarities. I feel like the legs are pretty much exactly the same. Maybe like slightly this panel's molded a little differently, you can kind of see. But the feet, the legs, pretty much the same. I would say the arms are pretty much the same. The chest obviously has been molded slightly differently, and the head is slightly different. But I liked this toy. I like this toy. This just has a little bit more Earth accurate vehicle mode. Really, the only difference for the mode and the weapon, obviously. This was okay. I like to kind of have a hammer mode as well, but I do kind of just like the normal gun a little bit better. Also, I like that he doesn't have that like siege weathering. I was never a huge fan of that aesthetic, but so yeah, pretty cool. Let's go ahead and we will get into Ironhide's transformation here. Alright, so the first thing I've done, I've taken the gun out of his hand, and for this riot shield, you're going to open up all these pieces, all these windows that are just hiding, and then you're going to take the gun, and you can see this peg right here, and there's a peg hole right there, so you're just going to peg that in there for storage. So you can put this off to the side for now. Now, if you're familiar with how Siege Ironhide transformed, this is very similar. You're going to open up the window here, rotate the head down, and I feel like in the Siege one this went down a little bit more, but I guess that's as far down as it goes. You can just leave it there for now. You're going to come around to the back and you're going to pull this panel down like so. You're going to rotate the arms like this, and then they're just going to swing up and peg into each other like so. Then you're going to pull this away from the body a little bit so that you can swivel this around. And then you can kind of push it back in, and then this will come up and clip in there to kind of form the front bumper. Then you're going to flip this up so that you can open up this part of the leg. This panel right here is going to come around like so. So do the same thing on this leg. Then you're going to peg these together. You can see that there's a tab in the inside. And then you're just kind of line this up. That's going to peg in there. That's going to peg in there. Kind of drop this down. This will close up around these fists and peg into the forearms like so. Now I like to leave this part down for now because what you have to do is you have to bring that riot shield back in, and everything's going to kind of line up. So this peg right here is going to drop into there. You've got these two pegs, which are going to go in here, and then you've got these two pegs, which are going to go in here. So you just drop this all down. Make sure these are open all the way. Drop this down. I guess, okay, these are not open all the way. There we go. You'll hear like a click when they're all the way open. And these should be completely, these only go straight down, but these go all the way out to the side. So now we can drop this on. And then you just pop it down. I feel like it doesn't peg in as good as it should, at least to the top of the shoulders. But you can bring this down. Oh, that's probably why. When you have these all the way up, you can see how the piece of plastic doesn't allow it to push all the way down, so you have to push it down, then it can fit flush against the black piece. And then you can just kind of pop this up and close it up like that. It's still not 100%, but it's not too bad. So here's his alt mode. I think it looks pretty good. Pretty accurate to the original cartoon. I don't love that the feet just hang off the back here. I think that's kind of a bummer. I feel like if you're going to take the time to make this entire like riot shield piece, couldn't you just have had a part that kind of hung over the back and made this all uniform too? I mean, they could have had just a piece that extended over and just hid the feet, I feel like. It's not a huge deal breaker. It's just like from here, if you look at it at this angle, you're like, oh yeah, that looks great. And then you're like, oh, and then the feet on the back. I don't know. On the original show, he had, you know, kind of a window back here, and then this piece would open, and sometimes, like, people would get inside. I mean, obviously, they're not going to be able to pull that off because of size proportions and whatnot, but it certainly destroys that illusion when he just has these giant feet hanging off the back. Underneath looks pretty good. Here's a comparison with the Siege alt mode. So, roughly the same size, maybe a little bit longer over here. You can see feet still hanging off the back. And also, I wouldn't have mind if they just did his shoulders in red like the rest of him, so that it wouldn't like look so garish just hanging out there compared to everything else. I mean, I guess technically it should be windows. And also I think it's weird that they have this one giant window panel that they did clear, and now the rest of this is... Like, I would almost rather they just put maybe stickers over all these or something like that. Or maybe this is supposed to be like a window that's half slid open. I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird to have a window that's half clear plastic, half red plastic, and then you have this black rectangle here, which is that supposed to be like an open window? Is that supposed to be part of the door? I'm not really sure what's happening there. So again, not a huge deal breaker, but just seems a little out of place. I do like the yellow line going all the way down. See, they didn't really have that problem with the Siege one because they just had the window here. Now, they did pretty much have the entire arms exposed, so they did have that going on, but they had the nice gold stripe there. I guess because it's just supposed to be like a Cybertronian alt mode, it didn't really have to look like anything specific, or they certainly weren't worrying about disguise on Cybertron. They were just worrying about travel, transportation. I think that's why you can get away with like weirder designs for Cybertron alt mode and not covering as much, because it's just function, it's not style. This has to be a little bit of both, because now you're introducing the disguise element so that the populace of Earth doesn't recognize you. Again, I know it's a toy. I'm just saying. I feel like there are certain things they could have done to just, I don't know, maybe make this gel a little bit. It seems very disjointed. But it doesn't mean I don't like the toy. I still think it's cool. I still like the alt mode here. So, not bad. Next up we have Prowl. I think it looks great. Prowl's always been one of my favorites. Really just the whole mold. So Prowl, Blue Streak, and Smokescreen. All three of them I really, really like. I just like this design of the robot mode and the alt mode. I think it all looks pretty good. We've already seen this mold twice. Oh, he actually doesn't have his heels flipped out. So he comes in the packaging like that. You have to flip his heels down. But as I was saying, we've seen this mold twice already. I've already done reviews of both Smokescreen and Blue Streak, but he still looks sharp. I still think he looks cool. Articulation is going to be exactly the same. Head is on a ball joint, so side to side, a little bit up and down, not too much. You have kind of like a double, like this is supposed to peg in, but you can move it if you want to use that hinge joint, but you have another hinge in the shoulder here. You have a swivel, bicep swivel, 90 degrees in the elbow, wrist swivel. You do have a waist swivel. Hips can't kick back all that much, but you can kick forward. Thigh swivel there, a little bit over 90 degrees in the knee, and then of course you have the ankle tilt. So all in all, I think he looks great. Quick little comparison with Siege Prowl. Yeah, I gotta say this one wins by leaps and bounds. I always thought out of the 3 they did of this mold, well really the 4 they did of this mold for Siege, I always kind of thought Prowl was the weakest, unfortunately. I didn't really love the clear wheels. You can see here as well. I always thought the legs were a little wonky. That was a problem I had with the whole mold for all 3 of them. But for some reason for Prowl, I thought it looked the worst. I definitely think this one's better. Leaps and bounds, I think it's better. And not that this one's terrible, it's not. I think just in general, this is a better mold than this is. And I think Blue Streak and Smokescreen in this mold, because their color schemes were a little bit more exciting, could pull this mold off a little bit better than Prowl could. But I think 100% Prowl pulls off this mold. Really, all 3 of them pull this mold off. It's just a good mold. I just think it's a really good mold. I think this one was okay. I think this one's better. Let's go ahead. Let's get into transformation. So if you watch my other videos, you've already seen me do this transformation twice, so I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. Oh, I just noticed that this is mistransformed as well. Man, they really mistransformed his legs all the way in the packaging. Those are supposed to be down. Not that it really matters. It doesn't really do all that much, but those are supposed to be down in robot mode, I think in a sad attempt to hide how hollow his feet are. But so anyway, spin those back up, or apparently just pop them right off. Yeah, they're kind of cheap. In any case, pop them back on if they aren't already spun up there. You're going to come to the top here. You're going to unhook this. And this is going to pop up like so. This piece is going to go up there and fill the gap. Make sure that's all the way up there. There we go. Next, you're going to spin this around 180 degrees. You're going to collapse this. Okay, I'm doing this poorly, but this is going to come up here like so. You can see how that kind of fits in like that. So this is going to come up. I probably should have pegged these together first, but you're going to pop these together. You're going to peg the feet together like so. And then this will meet up here. And then this will close down like that. Then you're going to pop the heels back in like so. You can go ahead and close the doors like this. Actually, that's not true. I'll have to reopen them in a minute. All right, I'll just reopen them now. I forgot they have tabs on the inside. So you're going to spin these around. So this comes in like this. That pegs in like that. Straighten out the arms. You can see here that there's a little tab right there, and that tabs into right there. So you're going to bring this in like so. Then you're going to bring the arms down. And then you can see that the arms have tiny little tabs right there, which are going to go into those little tab spots right there. So now you can close the doors. There we go. And there is Prowl's alt mode. I think it looks great. Really sharp. Like I said, I really liked this mold since the first one I got of Blue Streak. Liked it even more with Smokescreen. Like it even more with Prowl. I really think all three of these use the mold perfectly. Looks really sharp. He has his gun. If you want to peg that in up here, you can. Here is a comparison with the Siege mold. Like I said, I don't know why, just he couldn't really pull off the Siege mold all that well. But I think this mold is perfect. I love it. Really, really looks good. Rolls well. Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about the, I don't know, maybe the little Autobot symbol being pushed in the corner down there. And like I said, I really didn't like the translucent wheels. I don't know. But I love this one. I think this absolutely looks fantastic. I just wanted to do a quick little group shot of all three of these since we now have all three in the same mold, and I think they all look really, really good. You can see that they all have a little bit of different molding here in the chest. Blue Streak and Prowl might be the same, but Smokescreen's definitely different. And you can see Prowl doesn't have the guns, the other two do. So, subtle differences, but all in all, really like all three of these. I think this is a great 2-pack. I can understand some people probably turned off by the fact that we just got both of these characters in Siege, but these are different. I mean, yes, Ironhide is probably the closest to his predecessor because they use that same mold and just tweaked it a little bit, but I do like the alt mode. It's not perfect, but I do like it. Prowl, I think, is a definite must-buy. This new mold they've done for these three is fantastic, and it's been great as Blue Streak, it's been great as Smokescreen, it's great as Prowl. So if you're like me and you really like those characters and that design, you're going to want to pick this guy up. And I don't think Ironhide is necessarily bad to have. I know some people might say, well, I want one and not the other, but they're locked together. I think they're both good. I think at the end of the day, once you get them in hand, you're going to like both of these guys. I don't love the whole Riot Shield thing because it feels a little bit lazy to me, you know, just kind of like getting a shell former situation going on where we got the alt mode most of the way, and now we'll just, you know, pack this giant piece of plastic on top just to get the rest of the way there. And if you're going to do it, you could have at least covered the feet. I feel like you don't do it halfway. But like I said, his alt mode is not without problems, but I still like it. I still think it looks good, and I do like the robot mode. Prowl's pretty close to perfect as far as I'm concerned. Robot mode looks great. Vehicle mode looks great. Accessories are good. Paint applications, they're all fine. I love everything about Prowl. he's pretty much perfect to me. Like I said, I don't think Ironhide is bad. I just think he might be the lesser out of the two. Now, that's my opinion. I have kind of a strong affinity for Prowl, so I might be a little biased. But if you don't have Siege Ironhide, then I say 100% pick this up. Absolutely no reason not to. If you're on the fence and you think your Siege Ironhide is good enough, that's going to be up to you. But I do think this guy's still worth checking out, having a more Earth realistic alt mode for your displays and whatnot. I think probably out of the two, I do like this better than Siege Ironhide. I just think it looks a little bit more like G1 Ironhide than Siege Ironhide does, because they were going for that Cybertron aesthetic for him. And I think it worked for Siege. I definitely think that was a good figure. I just think if you're looking for a more G1 accurate, mini masterpiece style Ironhide, you're probably going to want this guy. Now, again, I've used the term mini masterpiece, and I don't think Ironhide is quite there. Like, I would say Prowl probably is. Ironhide's not quite, because he could be a little bit better. But, for 20 bucks, I think he's pretty dang close. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, thank you so much for watching.